Good morning, guys. I will be calculating the volume of each composite solid that is given. With A, please note that you have a cylinder on top of a cube and the edges of that cylinder lie on the edges of the cube, meaning that the diameter of the cylinder will be equal to the length of the cube. Remember, when you calculate the volume, you normally take the area of the base, you multiply it by the height. I'm going to start with the cube. In this case, I'll have the area of the cube, which is my rectangular prism, and you will simply add it with, not the area, actually the volume of the cube plus the volume of the cylinder. Now, to calculate the volume of the cube, you simply take all the sides, you multiply them by the height, which is the length times breadth times the height of the cube, which is 12. That is why I multiplied 12 by 12 and by 12. That is because they told you that all the sides are equal. That's how we know that it is a cube. Remember, all sides of a cube will be equal. With respect to my cylinder, I simply took the diameter, which is 12. Remember, I told you earlier on, I said to you the diameter of the cylinder will be equal to the length of the cube because the edges of the cylinder lie on the edges of the cube. It makes sense for you to say that the diameter of the cylinder is equal to the length of the cube. I took the diameter, which is 12, and I divided that by 2 to get 6. Take that and square it and multiply it by the height of the cylinder, which is 8 centimeters. Multiplying 12 by 12 by 12, it will give you 1,728 cubic meters, and 6 squared is 36. I still have 8 multiplied by that 6 squared, which is 36 in this case. 36 multiplied by 8, that will give you 288 pi. Add the 2. You will simply take 1,728 plus 288 pi, and that will give you 2,632.78 cubic centimeters. I'm going to jump straight to number 6 because it is pretty the same as A. For number 6, you will simply take the length times breadth, which is 8 times 8. You multiply it by the height of the rectangular prism. Some of you have asked me, why do I call number A? Because we have a rectangular prism. Please note that a square does meet the requirement of a rectangle. However, not every rectangle can be a square. Please remember all the properties that you have learned, right? Now for C, please note that I don't have a cube because the length and the breadth of the given rectangular prism are equal, but the height is not the same. Now that is not a cube, it is a rectangular prism. You will simply take 8 multiplied by 8 multiplied by the height of the rectangular prism, which is 6 centimeters. Obviously you'll realize that the edges of the cylinder lie on the edges of the rectangular prism. Therefore we're going to say the diameter of the cylinder is simply half of the length of the given rectangular prism. Please note that the distance from here to there, it's 8 centimeters. Therefore, it makes sense that the distance from here to there is also 8 centimeters, and that will be your diameter. Therefore, you will simply take that 8 and divide it by 2, and it will give you 4. And that's what you're going to substitute where there's arc, but the height of the cylinder is 6. That's why I multiplied that by 6 centimeters. Do your calculations. 8 times 8 times 6, that is 384 cubic centimeters, and 4 squared is 16 squared centimeters, and I will multiply that by 6 centimeters. You will end up having 384 cubic centimeters plus 96 pi cubic centimeters. And obviously when you take 384 cubic centimeters and add it with 96 pi, That is 384 plus 96 pi. That will give you 685.59 cubic centimeters. Let's get to B quickly. B, I will start with my rectangular prism, and obviously when I take my rectangular prism, I will simply take the area of the base multiplied by the height of the rectangular prism, and do the same thing with the cylinder. I will simply take 20 times 15 times 8 to find the volume of my rectangular prism, and for me to find the volume of the cylinder, I will simply take 8 divided by 2. 8 is the diameter of the cylinder, and I'll multiply that by the height of the cylinder, which is 12. And obviously I will simply get that 2400 if I multiply 20 times 15 times 8, and if I take 4 squared and multiply it with 12 meters, it'll give me it'll simply give me 192 pi. Add 192 pi with 2400, that will be 3003.19 cubic meters. Let's get to these ones here. You simply do the same thing with D. With D, I will simply do the same thing, which is finding the volume of the rectangular prism and add it with the volume of the cylinder. It'll be 0.5 times 0.3 multiplied by the height of the prism. And for the volume of the cylinder, I will simply take 0.2 divided by 2, it'll give me 0.1, and 0.1 squared, it'll give me 0.01. And obviously I will multiply that by the height of the cylinder, which is simply 0.4 meters. Zero comma 0.01 multiplied by 0.4, it'll give me 0.04, and 0.5 times 0.3 times 0.2, it'll give me 0.03. Add 0.03 with the 0.004 pi, it'll simply give me 0.04 pi. Let me just correct that quickly. Alright, I just wanted to correct these centimeters here. Now everything is correct. Please note, when you take 0.03 plus 0.004 pi, it'll simply give you 0.04 cubic meters, and that is the final calculation. Let's get to the second one quickly, which is E. For E, please note that when you calculate the volume, you will simply take the volume of the bigger cylinder minus the volume of the smaller cylinder. That is because we took out the smaller cylinder. We will be left with something that looks like a donut, like a toilet tissue, as a matter of fact, where in the middle it is just open. We're just trying to take out the middle part. Now you will simply calculate the volume of the bigger cylinder minus the volume of the cylinder that has been taken out. The bigger cylinder has a diameter of 10. Take that divided by 2, it will give you 5. The smaller cylinder has a diameter of 2. Take that divided by 2, it will give you 1. The height of both cylinders will be the same, which is 8 centimeters. You will simply take 25 multiplied by 8, it will give you 201. Multiplied by 8, it will give you 8 pi. 200 pi minus 8 pi will be 192 pi. Okay, now you can simply simplify that further by taking that 192 pi and putting it into your calculator, and that will give you 603.19 cubic meters. The last one, obviously, it's a cylinder on top of the cylinder. You will simply find the volume of the bigger cylinder added with the volume of the smaller cylinder, and obviously when you do that, you will simply take 5 divided by 2 multiplied by 2, and you will also take 2 divided by 2 and multiplied by 3, which is 1. Okay, now if you take the diameter of the bigger cylinder, which is 5, and divide it by 2, you will get 0.5. If you take the diameter of the smaller cylinder and divide it by 2, you will simply get 1. And obviously this 3 is the height of the smaller cylinder, and that 2 is the height of the bigger cylinder. And now you will have 12.5 pi plus 3 pi, and that will give you 15.5 pi. Put that into your calculator quickly. When you put it into your calculator, you will get 48.7 cubic meters. Okay, now let's just continue. This is what I gave you as a homework. I'm going to do number 1, and I expect everyone to have submitted by latest 1800 hours tomorrow after your test. Okay, I won't say today, it was actually due today, but because you're writing tomorrow, this will be due after your test at 1800 hours, and no submissions will be accepted after that. Okay, now I'm going to start with A. For my total surface area, you need to go back to the bases. Remember, the total surface area, it is the sum of the areas of each face of the given prism. Now this is a little bit complex because you have a couple of prisms that have been combined to form one solid. Now for the first one, all I did, please note that it's like I have a staircase. All I did was just to divide that staircase by dividing it. You could have divided it differently from what I've done. Okay, I simply took the vertical case and the smaller one, so I've got two rectangular prisms here. Now I will simply calculate the area of each side, and remember, when you calculate the area of a rectangular prism, you will simply use this formula here, which is 2 length times breadth and plus 2 length times height plus 2 times breadth times height. So basically this is what is happening here. That is the length. So it is 8 centimeters multiplied by 6, but that will be the top part. Please note that the top part will be the same. The area of the top part will be the same as the area of the bottom part. That's why I'm multiplying that by 2. And then I'm going to take this and times it by that. It'll give me this area, and I will multiply that by 2 because there's two sides of that side. And then there's this side here, which is simply length times height. Okay, length times height, and that will be the area of the bigger size, and I will just multiply that by 2 as well. Please note that this here, it is simply that 8 times 6, which is length times breadth. So this is the area of the top part of that given rectangular prism. You will simply multiply that by 2. Let's do it quickly, and I will do the same with the smaller rectangular prism. Now this is what you are going to get. 8 times 6, it's simply the top part and the bottom part, and 8 times 10 is simply this longer side multiplied by the height. Okay, please note that the height of the bigger rectangular prism is 10, and you will take 6 times 10. It's simply this second area here that I've written as 2, which is 10 times 6. You will multiply that by 2 because we've got two sides that are of that length, which is basically the area of the smaller size of your rectangular prism. That is for the bigger prism. Now let's go to the smaller prism quickly. With the smaller prism, I'm going to calculate this area, which is 5, which is 6 as a matter of fact, times the height, which is 5. Okay, obviously I will multiply that area by 2, and then I'm going to calculate the second area, which is 8 times 5. 8, it's simply this length, which is the same as that 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 length, and hence it is 8 centimeters. Right? The top part will be number 3, area number 3, For that, I will simply take 8 and times it by 6. And obviously I'll multiply that each area by 2 because there is 2 sides for each given face. All right, when you multiply that, it will simply give you, when you add and multiply, it will give you 492 squared centimeters. That is for A. I know that B might give you guys problems, but you need to think about what's happening there. You are given only one length, which is 9, but that one length will be divided into 3 parts. Okay, good luck with everything else. Please remember it is due by 6 tomorrow.